Hi there, I'm Carl Erickson. I'm the CEO and the co-founder of Atomic Object. Atomic's a software design and development consultancy. This is our building in Grand Rapids. We just renovated and moved into that a couple of months ago. We build software products for clients ranging from startups to the Fortune 500. I actually have an engineering education. I was sitting out there almost 30 years ago, but my first job out of grad school was actually as a professor. I taught computer science at Grand Valley for 10 years in the 1990s. And I met a few really smart, talented students in that time. Universities are really great places to work and hang out, and they're really hard places to leave. In the year 2000, one of those students lured me out of the U and into a startup. Yeah, that's me with a ponytail. Our product was technically brilliant and a total fail. We built a cryptographically secure, distributed, containerized, self-describing workflow platform. It was going to change the world once people started using it. No one did, and we ran out of money. It's the best failure that I've ever been a part of. It was awesome. It broke my golden handcuffs and let me free to do what I wanted to do my own thing. And that was Atomic Object. So this is us circa 2001, the year we got started. Atomic represented a 180-degree pivot from the startup I was working in. Instead of making amazing software that was going to change the world but no one used, we found people with problems to solve and we solved them for them. We took our awesome process and our great people and we solved problems. We were making technically excellent software for our clients. Our software had an order of magnitude fewer defects because of something called test-driven development and test automation, which you probably know of now, but I guarantee you no one knew them 15 years ago in this room. Our code was simpler, more extensible, more maintainable, and performant. We had happy clients, and that led to some really nice organic growth, word-of-mouth marketing. We also shared what we learned through our conferences and publications to get the word out. That led up to 2008. As you can see, we were quite a bit larger by then. We'd learned to be predictable in time and budget, and that's something that clients very much appreciate. Our software had gotten even better from a technical perspective, but there were some things that didn't feel so good. Our startup clients tended to fail. And our traditional clients were overconfident and sometimes even wrong in knowing what their users needed or wanted. And our software wasn't very beautiful. It turns out people appreciate beauty. In summary, we knew how to build things right, but we didn't always know the right thing to build. That year, we brought design into the company. Design is a troubled word. It covers so many fields, activities, and ideas that it's almost worthless to use. It sows confusion, I think. At this point in my talk, most speakers would probably turn to what I call a gratuitous audience interaction. That would be me asking you to raise your hands if you know what the design means, or whether you agree with various definitions that I provide. Half of you wouldn't participate in my little scheme. I'd pretend to find your responses interesting, and then we just move on. So I'm just going to skip that whole little bit. And I can also skip it because I'm confident that the majority of you don't really understand what design is all about. I know I didn't after 3 degrees in engineering and 10 years of teaching in the university. A lot of us think engineers build things, then designers hit them with the pretty stick. If I pressed you, what I'd bet is a lot of you would say that design is all about colors and fonts and icons and rounded corners and line weights and all that kind of stuff. It's really great to see empathy-driven design as a theme for this hackathon. The qualifier there, empathy-driven, should make it clear that design is more than the things that I just listed. Visual design is super important, don't get me wrong, but VisD is only one small part of software design. It's certainly true that people appreciate beauty, but what people appreciate even more is products that delight them, that are easy to use, that aren't frustrating, that solve their problems, that simplify their lives, that save them time, that don't make them feel stupid. That's tough to achieve if you don't know who you're building for or what they need, when and where they're going to use it, how often they use it, why they use it, what their previous experience is, what job they're trying to get done, what they love and what they hate. Understanding these things is what gives us a chance to create software that will get used. And don't forget, the most expensive software on earth is software that never gets used. Empathy is the skill that lets you learn about your users Design is how you apply that knowledge. Starting in 2008, Atomic invested a ton in learning about design, modifying our software development process, integrating design practices, and figuring out the right sort of designers to hire. It was a lot of work. It took many years. Some of the key lessons we learned from our journey are that design is much more than visuals, and developers have a lot to contribute. Those are two real keen insights for us. Design for a software product includes all of these things. User need and opportunity research. In other words, what's the right thing to build? The feature set selection, defining, narrowing, grouping, and prioritizing. There's always more ideas than you can put into either time or budget. Information architecture. How do you arrange information and workflows, including navigation? Interaction design. How do users interact with your product? And of course, visual design, which usually culminates in a style guide to bring visual coherence to a product. And then finally, design implementation, oftentimes called front-end web development, turning your design into production artifacts like CSS, HTML, JavaScript, and appropriate image files. Clearly, design isn't just about twiddling pixels. All of the so-called big D design activities that I listed are accessible to the right sort of developers. Our journey took years to figure this all out, as it required a change of heart and mind, a significant stretch of our technical culture, and solving a host of tactical problems. Maybe you don't want to pick colors for your application, but you can and you should want to take ownership over the design of your work. So what's empathy got to do with this whole thing? Remember that I caveated my claim about developers being good at big D design? You need the right kind of people. We found a few indicators over the years about what sorts of developers are going to be good at empathic design. First of all, you have to enjoy people and care about others. It's pretty basic, pretty primary motivation for empathy. Secondly, we find that they're broadly curious people. They prefer to be generalists over specialists. They want to make an impact and not just solve interesting technical puzzles. They tend to be system thinkers who recognize that applications aren't used in a vacuum. They're good communicators, and they like to play on teams. Typically, they share an attitude of craftsmanship. That's caring about their profession and their tools, their clients, and their younger colleagues. That's also a good indicator. We've learned that diversity in our staff is also super critical to our human-centered empathic design practice. It's simple, really. Everybody uses software. And it's easier to relate for all of us to people who are like us. So having different kinds of people makes for better products. Diverse teams are smarter, more creative, and operate differently than homogeneous teams. We renewed our commitment to improving gender diversity, which was lousy historically in our company, back in 2013. From that time to today, we've gone from 9% women to 24% women. We've gone from 3 women to 14 women total, and from 1 woman maker to 9 women makers. And that's a huge amount of progress I'm really pleased and happy about. It makes us a stronger company. I want to emphasize that we didn't prioritize gender diversity because, yay, diversity, which is unfortunately a lot of what you hear. We did it because it makes our company more robust to challenge and change and improves the products we deliver to our clients. Good, solid business reasons. What we've also learned is that the right people in a bad state of mind will struggle with empathy. It's not enough to have the right people. You have to treat them right. So feeling centered and having a quiet mind leaves you open to hearing and to learning. Having your own reserves is especially necessary when working in or with a startup, because they take a lot out of you. The practice of sustainable pace is one that helps us practice empathy. Our makers typically work 40 to 42 hours a week, and they get paid for every hour they work. Facilities are an important way for maintaining our ability to be empathic too. Natural light, calming, beautiful offices, good equipment and furniture, healthy snacks, all those things help us stay calm and centered and engaged, creative and happy. Unfortunately, that's not enough. Practicing empathy-driven design is not easy. It means hearing that your baby is ugly way more often than you'd like. Interfaces, features, and workflows that make perfect sense to you because you've been working on them for months may confound or even anger the people you're building your application for. That's hard to hear. The biases we all have can blind us to the perspective and feelings of others, and becoming aware of your biases and then setting them aside is a very difficult thing to do. And actually, a purely empathetic response to users would literally mean feeling their emotions, which is not necessarily what you want to be doing as a designer or a developer. Designers and developers need to combine empathy with intuition and an independent perspective. You can find ideas that are critical to your product's success, not by asking users what they want, but by understanding them deeply and finding out new insights and ideas that they couldn't think of themselves. Last year, I spent some time working with a nonprofit in Grand Rapids that works on the problem of homeless youth. And I was going to help them with their case management process, which was kind of messed up. So I started from a requirements doc that they had put together. And then I talked with their case managers about the tool that they were currently using. And it was really interesting. They could barely describe what they did without talking about the tool. That's the way they saw their whole job. Unfortunately, they were using a hammer to pound screws. This was not a successful tool. Through some lightweight ethnographic research, I found something that hadn't ever been mentioned or documented. Every one of them had a little black book. And this little black book was critical to their workflow and their process. This is where they took all the notes and did all the thinking and recorded stuff and looked stuff up, not in the tool. The books were a rich source of understanding of the needs of their job and helped us design a new process and select a more appropriate application for their problem. I'm going to close with a challenge and an opportunity for you to apply empathic design to a problem that should be near and dear to your hearts, if not this year, then soon, which is to say your first job out of school. This is a big decision for all of you. I'm sure you're going to hear lots of opinions and have many influences from professors and the Career Center and parents and friends and recruiters, books and blogs. I'd like to offer you one more perspective. My thoughts here have been heavily influenced by my friend Rachel Miller, who is a 2016 U of M computer science grad that I have the pleasure of working with in our Grand Rapids office. There's so many opportunities right now for you all. It's very exciting. You'll probably be told that whatever you do, don't sell yourself short. Don't settle, reach high, go for it. In other words, take maximum advantage of your expensive education. Make your mark on the world. Disrupt a staid industry. Work for a firm even your grandfather has heard about. Start your own company. Make a ton of money. In other words, measure your success in extrinsic terms. This is great advice to follow if that happens to be what you care about. And that's where my design challenge to you comes in. I suggest applying your soon-to-be new empathic design skills to the question of your first job. That makes you both the subject of inquiry and the researcher. Study yourself. What do you really care about that might not be on the conventional list? What makes you fulfilled? Being able to learn from others, the values of the company you work with and sharing those, the industry you work in, working in a company with strong social bonds maybe, being able to master your craft, working on problems that you think matter, helping older companies innovate with technology, the financial stability of the company you work for, establishing roots in a community. Whatever it is, once you have your list, get out and look around. Not every interesting company comes to the campus career fairs. In fact, not every interesting company is located in a big city or on the coasts. There's a particular kind of company that I suspect isn't on your radar. I want to tell you a little bit about those. These are software development consultancies like Atomic. Consultancies tend to be small companies. We have 50 people or so, and we did just under $9 million in revenue last year. And believe it or not, that puts us in the 90th percentile for companies like ours. It's kind of crazy. It's a cottage industry. There's more focus on craft and learning in these companies and less on climbing the ladder or corporate politics. You get an exposure to a variety of industries and clients, which is pretty cool. And you're more likely to participate in the entire development process: testing, design, programming, toolsmithing, project management, everything. You'll be surrounded by talented people. And the reason you'll be surrounded by talented people is second-rate consultancies tend not to last for long. You got to be better than the other consultancies, and you got to be better than internal teams a lot of times. So I just want to close by saying this isn't a question of right or wrong choice. What's right is choosing about what you care about. What's wrong is ignoring what you care about or not even considering the question. Sometime before you make that decision, turn your empathic design skills on yourself. My contact info is on the screen. There's going to be other Adams around. We have these awesome t-shirts you'll recognize us by. And in the meantime, have a great weekend, learn some new things, meet some new people, have a blast, and hack on.